1998. A sports bar in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A guy named Dale Kepler, 41 years old, foreman at a paper mill, is standing on a chair with tears running down his face while his beloved Packers march to another victory on the big screen. Everyone else in the bar is cheering. Dale is sobbing. Because Dale just lost $630,000. And here's the twist nobody in that bar knew yet. 2 weeks later, he'd walk out of a Las Vegas cage with $3.1 million in cold cash, all of it from betting against the only team he'd ever loved. Let me take you back. Dale Kepler grew up in a two-bedroom house on the east side of Green Bay. His father worked the same paper mill Dale would later run. His mother sold Packers pennants at the stadium gift shop on weekends. In that house, on that street, in that city, you didn't just root for the Packers, you worshipped them. Dale had a framed jersey over his bed until he was 34 years old. So the fact that he ended up ruining himself financially by betting on football, that part actually makes sense. What doesn't make sense, at least at first, is how a small-town paper mill foreman with a $200 a week gambling habit ended up sitting across from a pit boss in Nevada, staking his entire net worth on his own team losing a championship game. Here's how it happened. The 1996 season, Dale started betting on Packers games. Small at first, 50 a game, 100 a game, always on Green Bay to win, always to cover the spread. He was a homer. Everybody in his crew at the mill was a homer. They'd meet at a place called Rooney's on Sunday morning, put in their wagers with a bookie named Fat Tommy, who ran the action out of the back room, and drink Miller High Life until kickoff. That season, Dale won a lot. The Packers were dominant. They went to the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. Dale walked into January with about $11,000 in profit and a serious problem. He now believed he had a system. And the system was this: bet on the Packers, no matter what. You already see where this is going. 1997 season. Dale doubles his stakes. The Packers are favorites almost every week. Favorites lose sometimes. By the end of the regular season, Dale is down $40,000. He tells his wife Marlene that he's covering a coworker's medical bills. He takes out a home equity line to pay Fat Tommy. Then the Packers make the playoffs again, and Dale, being Dale, does what any true believer does. He presses. Championship weekend. Dale bets $75,000 on Green Bay to beat San Francisco. Green Bay wins. Dale claws back to even. He is euphoric. He is untouchable. He is, in his own words later, the smartest dumb guy in Wisconsin. Then comes the Super Bowl. Green Bay against Denver. Green Bay is a heavy favorite. Every single guy at Rooney's is on the Packers. Dale, riding the high, borrows against his truck, his boat, and his retirement, and puts down $120,000 with Fat Tommy on the Packers to cover. Denver wins. You know the game. Elway, the helicopter, Terrell Davis with the migraine. It's history. And for Dale Kepler, it was a wipeout. He owed Fat Tommy money he did not have. He owed the bank money he did not have. Marlene found out that night when a man in a nylon jacket showed up on their front porch, asking politely when the first payment was coming. And here's where most stories end. Guy blows his savings, wife leaves, moves in with his brother, works overtime, dies bitter. That's the arc. Dale went a different way. Dale spent the entire 1998 offseason doing something he'd never done in his life, studying. Not the Packers, everybody. He bought every football almanac he could find. He drove to the Green Bay Library 3 nights a week and pulled microfilm of old sports pages. He started charting weather data, injury reports, coaching tendencies, backup quarterback splits. He was still a paper mill foreman by day, but by night, he was building a database in a spiral notebook. And here's the detail almost nobody knows. What flipped Dale wasn't losing the Super Bowl. It was something his 14-year-old daughter said. She looked at him across the kitchen table one morning and said, "Dad, you always bet on the Packers, but you don't actually watch the other team." That line broke him open, because she was right. He'd been betting on a feeling, not a game. He was gambling on love, and love, as any pit boss in this country will tell you, is the worst edge you can give a sports book. So Dale made a rule. From that day forward, he would never again bet on the Packers to win. In fact, and this is the part that made him a rich man, he would specifically look for games where the public was overrating Green Bay, and he would take the other side, quietly, without telling a soul, because in his town, that was practically treason. Real quick, you're watching a story about a guy who lost everything to a shady backroom bookie, and I can't stand places like that. Me, if I play, it's only spots I've personally checked out, where the payout actually shows up and nobody's playing games with your money. Where exactly? I left down in the description. Alright, back to Dale. Now, pay attention because this is the interesting part. The 1998 regular season, Dale opens a real sportsbook account in Nevada. He'd taken a bus trip with two buddies to Reno. He drove the whole way home sober while they slept, thinking about lines. Week by week, he made his wagers by phone. And the numbers he was hunting were specific. Packers games where the point spread had been pushed too far by heavy public money out of Wisconsin. He wasn't betting against the team, he was betting against his own neighbors. Green Bay favored by 10.5 against a division rival with a hot young quarterback? Dale took the underdog. Green Bay laying 14 at home against a defense built to stop the run? Dale took the underdog. 12 times that season he bet against the Packers. He hit on 9. By December, he'd turned $8,000 into $94,000. He didn't tell Marlene. He didn't tell anyone at Rooney's. On Sundays, he still sat with the boys, still cheered when the Packers scored, still cursed when they punted. Nobody knew that in his front pocket was a folded slip of paper worth more than his truck. Then came the playoffs. Green Bay marches through the postseason. The whole state loses its mind. Public money on the Packers is so heavy, the Las Vegas books tilt the lines further and further to try to balance the action. Dale sees the number on the championship game and stops breathing. Green Bay is favored by 9.5, against a team he's watched all year, a team with a defensive line that, on tape, looked to him like it could collapse the Packers' pocket by the second quarter. Dale drove to Vegas, alone, told Marlene it was a fishing trip. He walked into a sports book on a Friday afternoon, laid down everything he had, $94,000, plus a marker for another $250, and he took the underdog. Straight up money line plus the points, parlayed with the under. Sunday afternoon, Dale sat in the corner of that sports book in a Packers hoodie, watching his own team on 20 screens, watching his neighbors back home lose their minds every time Green Bay stumbled. Fourth quarter, Packers down 11, driving. Everyone in the room is either screaming or dying quietly. Dale is neither. He's crying, because his team is losing and he's about to be a millionaire. Final whistle. The bet cashes. The ticket writer looks at the slip, then at Dale, then at the slip again, and calls a supervisor. Then the supervisor calls the cage manager. $3.1 million. In a duffel bag from a Walgreens, wrapped in a Packers windbreaker. Dale drove back to Green Bay through a snowstorm, alone, doing exactly the speed limit. He never told the guys at Rooney's, not one of them. He paid off the house, paid off the truck, put his daughter through veterinary school, and quietly stopped betting football entirely by the end of the 2001 season. Said he'd learned what he needed to learn. Some people in this town, when they hear this story, call Dale a genius. Others call him a traitor. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If the team you love your whole life is about to lose, and you know it, and the whole town is betting the other way, do you take the money, or do you keep the faith? Tell me which side of that bar stool you're on.